big thing there, Alex, is the takeaway from there. It's something we've always been kind of talking about. Europe has always been, when it comes to power, PlayStation territory. Xbox hasn't had a foot in. Even when 360 was in its massive emergence, it was the American market that was bolstering it up. The PS3, even though it was stupidly priced, didn't have any games for the first year and a half, hardly, was still doing better in Europe. Now, what's your thoughts? Because you spoke about this a number of times throughout the last few weeks. It's kind of like a thread about the Xbox Series S and the development time on it. But now you're hearing third parties saying we're putting all this effort in. What's the point?
What is the point indeed? I think it's fair to say that they might as well throw in the towel for this part of the generation. But yeah, I mean, we know that Microsoft's going to be leaning heavily onto their cloud infrastructure, which I'm sure they've still got baking in the background. We do know that they're going to be releasing a revised console sometime this year, uh,
Well, it's
codenamed
leaked.
Brooklyn.
Well, it just leaked this week. It's just an all
Yeah.
white digital only Xbox Series X, which is slated for June, July.
Okay. So at least
So it's not a
they'll definitely
pro.
keep it in mind. It's not a pro. It's not a pro. But we do hear that there is a pro in the works.
I don't
There's
think
gonna be
they'll
like a
release
slight
one.
revision. But yeah, I think the best thing for Xbox to do right now, I mean, who knows? I mean, I think it does make sense for them to release it on games on PS5 and PC right now for the remainder of this generation, at least anyway, because that's a great way for them to claw some money back on a lot of the games that they've been developing, and it'll just keep them in the black, well, so to speak. So yeah, that makes sense. But going forward into the following generation, they need to come strong, man. They need to come out with some heavy, some exclusives, and they do need to make sure that if they are going to be in it for the long haul, that they have some prominent games. They have a good selection of games on launch. And yes, I mean, we've also heard about them talking about their hybrid or handheld game as well, handheld console. So that could be a good addition to the handheld space. It's quite not saturated at the moment, but there's no real key players in there besides Nintendo, Steam Deck, and then you've got a slew of other PC conversions. But having a brand like Xbox could kind of put them head to head with likes of Steam, especially with Game Pass or whatever they want to call it, coming into the next generation. So if they can continue with that strategy, cloud, the mobile, the handheld space, and like a decent lineup of games, for the next generation, they could come back. We could actually see a good resurgence for them. So I don't think it's over for them.
Sorry, I had to laugh then.
But
Sorry, my bad. You said come
yeah,
back
yeah.
in
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. But like, and the thing is, and I hope it's not, because you know what's going to happen if
it.
they don't come back. Sony's going to get lazy, and it's just going to suck for everybody. So
Oh yeah,
like,
100%,
we
100%.
need
That's what
we need
Sony do.
Xbox. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned Game Pass there. It's not in our article, but Christopher Dring talked about like Microsoft are taking their foot off it a little bit, that they're not really fussed about it. But I think what you're going to see is, yeah, you walk into any retailer now, whether in the UK, for example, whether it be Smith's Toys, Game, hell, you can even walk into an Argos and look in their catalog, right? The Xbox sections are just diminishing beyond belief. You walk into Smith's, it's like the back of two aisles, like just down the side. And then Nintendo has got like three, PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 have like four sections that's like all dedicated. It's literally Switch on the left, Nintendo on the left, PlayStation on the right,
red
Xbox is
versus
kind of
blue.
just
Yeah, yeah.
funneled as like the barrier in between the two, and it's just okay, no effort really put in there. And you walk into like game and that, it's the same thing. You walk in straight away. You got Nintendo all in the middle, you got PlayStation down the front, and then you got Xbox sitting behind the PlayStation at the back of the store. And it's something similar we saw years ago with Japan. The market just isn't there, but it's not just the UK. We see it all the time in Germany's sales, France's sale, Italy, Spain, everything. The Series S was designed to combat that and get an install base, but people don't want it, you know? And we spoke, somebody from Microsoft was obviously listening because we spoke about how a handheld was going to be coming and how it's the right way to go. Eat Steam Deck's pie, eat Nintendo's pie, and it's the perfect way. If you could get a Series S in your hands and natively download a game via Game Pass and play it on the move on there, perfect. You will sell millions of that. And I think that's where Microsoft need to go now. They need to look at handheld. And I think any sort of chance to succeed in the next generation, if Microsoft were like, you know what, we're just going to spend anything, then you go everything you can and you buy all the biggest exclusives you can for timed exclusivity. But they're not going to do that because they're not buying these games to even come to Game Pass. We've already saw that in the FTC articles that they're very careful of what they're spending now because of that Activision bill. But if you turn around, as I said to you, and as last week, if you have a super powerful machine in the next generation and your lower version is a hybrid or a handheld, you are in a great position, especially if you then start promoting, yeah, Call of Duty is free, you know, on
Yeah.
Game Pass and things like that. But the problem that Microsoft have, and at the end of the article there, is people, yeah, you can do that. And on paper, it sounds perfect. That's how you structure it. But on the other side, they're just releasing everything everywhere else. You know, we spoke about it. Everybody from different walks of life in the industry is saying the same thing, that there is going to be a lot of Xbox games coming to PlayStation, you know, and that was what the original business update was to announce, was that there was a tons of games coming, but then they saw the backlash and Phil Spencer says, you know, we hear you, we understand. So they pulled it back. If there wasn't going to be any more coming, they wouldn't have released these four as fast as they did. You know, I didn't expect, or I thought these four games, Pentiment, Sea of Thieves, Hi-Fi Rush, Grounded, were going to come out all towards until the end of the year. You know, spread them out. They're like, no, we're going to do it all before summer hits.
Just
Like,
now.
okay, bam, 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 bam. There you go.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I think the problem that Xbox is, it was a few months ago, we had a question come in. Well, what does Xbox need to do to succeed? I said the same thing. Rebrand. You need a fresh rebrand, especially in Europe. You need to cater to the European market because when we do our analysis every month on PS Extra for sales, the European market is very different to the North American market, minus your big guns like Call of Duty and that. You got to get the right games in Europe to succeed. You know, we play less of the action orientated games. You know, the smaller games, the independent, the double A's do very well in Europe compared to North America. And these are the games you need to be aiming for. So, do I see retailers cutting back a lot on Xbox? Yes, but I think Microsoft kind of already know that. We're already seeing them when they let go of 1,900 people, they let go of their physical department, you know,
Mm.
because they're releasing an all digital Xbox Series X. As they're going to look at it and think we're going to sell the games digitally. We're not going to give the option really of going into discs. You know, I mean, when the PS5 Pro come out, I said it months and months ago when we initially talked about it. I says it won't come with a disc drive. You got to buy it separate. If you want discs, you got to buy the disc drive. So if I buy a Pro, I'm gonna have to spend 80 quid on a disc drive, right? Not a problem. But
Mm.
I just think Microsoft is too late. I know that you're like, you know, you're very positive. You're thinking like always thinking forward about Microsoft and always giving them optimistic things. And you know me, I'm just blunt about it. I want Microsoft to succeed. I don't want Sony to be lazy. They're not going to succeed as a hardware manufacturer because Nintendo and PlayStation are brands like Apple. They are a mainstay now. You don't deviate from them. And Microsoft will literally have to turn around and give away that handheld for like £200 to have any dent in the other two,
Good
you
thing
know,
about the
because
handhelds, this is what Nintendo learned, is that it's cheap. You know what I mean? Of all the companies out there, Nintendo's the only one who's making profit as soon as their unit is sold.
but my
PS5 is
question
making a
then,
loss,
hold on,
Xbox
my
is making a
question for you
loss.
then is this: you talked about Switch 2's price, right?
Mhm.
And we're hearing prices that it's going to be higher than £300, right? But it's not up to date technology. So if a Series S technology was in handheld, that's not cheap. That technology can't be cheap. That's got to be like,
No,
again,
it
to
won't.
get.
No, it won't be too bad. It won't be that expensive because remember the Series S is old now. You know what I mean? Like it's old tech, you know, and like for them to what is popular right now is mobiles. You know, there's a lot of mobile chipsets, GPUs out there, which is what they'll be utilizing, and it'll be like a configured version of that, which is cheaper to produce, cheaper to maintain, and they'll bank, and that's the reason why we've heard Sony also talking about potentially coming out with a brand new portable console, and obviously Xbox we know are closer than Sony in terms of releasing one, so yeah, it makes sense for the mass market to, well, the big three really to go to portable devices, because most people aren't going for consoles anymore. You know what I mean? It's like they want to be able to take it anywhere with them. You know, and like with Xbox having a whole massive, you know, the Game Pass catalog, that's great. PlayStation's going to have theirs, and Nintendo's going to have theirs. You know what I mean? It's all going to be available on the handheld. So next generation is going to be a very interesting one. I mean, I don't think we've ever had three companies coming out with competing handhelds. You know, big, you know, companies coming out with competing handhelds. So it's going to be a new era in terms of the handheld market, which Nintendo is already in. So Nintendo will just have the one handheld, whereas PlayStation and Xbox will come out with two different SKUs, and both
Well,
those the higher end SKUs are going to be,
don't,
you know, I don't think they're going to sell as much as the handheld, because they'll realize how popular, you know,
dude,
just how, I mean,
listen,
look
I
at the
can't.
Portal. It's just
It's
it's
this.
sold out
It's
every 2 seconds, man. It's brilliant.
Bro, why you so disrespectful, man? Don't throw away the Gizmondo like that. That was going up against the
The
PSP and the
what? The
DS. The
who? The huh?
Gizmondo,
What? I don't even know what you're talking
innit?
about. Are you trying to say something?
All right,
What's going
and
on?
it's a great story. It's something that we'll keep an eye on over the next few weeks as well. And more importantly, based on that first story, that's why our PS Extra Patreon exclusive show, we're going to do our Xbox games draft, similar to an NFL draft, where we draft 5 Xbox games that we want to come to PS5. Can't wait to do it. Click the link in the description. You'll get access to that show as well. But Alex, enough about Xbox. Let's move on.